information. They send it over into the incident response process, right? Who then go into the containment, eradication, recovery, post-incident activity, finish in preparation for the next, and then it feeds back in, right? So then this continues around, they collect more information, they analyze that information, they inform, right? And then they go out and put that information back into the threat library, then they go out hunting again. So with this model, they're able to go and say, okay, I'm here, right? I'm finding something that came from the threat library. I found something, right? Then what is the lesson learned from this? How do we do this better in the future? What is the next thing that we need to do? And who needs to know about it, right? So this is the same as the special forces. That's what they do, is basically they find something, they fix it, they finish, exploit, and then they analyze it, right? So that's our hunting model. And then finally, this is our red and purple team, which is our highest level of our teams, right? Well, actually, they're at the same level as our ANTS analysis, threat intelligence, and red team. So we call our team a purple team, right? Rather than a strictly red, because their main function is not just to attack or hack into Oracle, right? What they're actually trying to do is make our SOC better, right? Make us better, right? This is the guy who's going, hey, knock, knock, Peter, guess what? I got your domain creds again.
You got your domain, right?
Right? So they follow the same model, the same cyber kill chain, right? They're doing the initial recon, right? And they're getting that same level, they're getting it from threat intelligence or whatever, like just what we talked about, right? Then they're going through the initial compromise, right? So they're basically doing, social engineering, internet-based attack, leveraging service providers, whatever. Then they're establishing a foothold, right? And they're creating backdoors, they're creating their own malware, they're creating their own, remote access or whatever, right? And then they're going into the next part, which is escalating privileges, right? That's where they're taking that, they're on a particular machine. Now the next part that they're looking at is actually gaining a bigger foothold, right? And this is where they keep on going around and around in circles. And they're basically trying to get, they do more internal reconnaissance, find other machines that they have access to. They want to move laterally. They want to maintain their presence. And they want to keep on going around and around until they own the entire network.
So your purple team is basically wearing white hats then, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, these guys are the creme de la creme, right? These are pen testers.
They've got internal knowledge and all that.
Yeah, these are pen testers that are, if you want to get into anything, this is the pen testing of the future. There's still going to be pen testers out there, right? But running security tools is not the way of the future, right? The red-purple team is the way of the future. And the reason why is because they're not limited to doing a Qualys scan or a Nessus scan or whatever, a NetMap scan, and saying, here's your vulnerabilities, patch your vulnerabilities, all right, do it all over again, right? These guys are attacking like attackers attack, right? And these guys are maintaining presence, and what they're doing is they're creating their own malware, right? For lack of a better word, they're creating controlled malware, right? And they're utilizing that same tactics that attackers would use in order to figure out how to bypass all your security controls and get around the SOC, right? So that they can complete their mission. But one of the best things that they do by having them on the network is they keep our blue team, which is our SOC incident response team, on their toes, right? So we've instituted kind of reward system. If you catch the red team, right, you get a $100 gift card, right? So,
Amazon gift card.
right. So you get a $100 gift card, and you get an award for catching them on the network. It's really big for us to catch them. If we can catch them on the network, that's great, right? But when they're done, when they're finished with their mission, right, the red-purple team, they don't just stop there and go to the next thing. Now they have to report out and say, okay, this is what you missed. These are all the things. And then we have our analysts who take that information and go, okay, how do we make the SOC better?
So for a bit, they're in the outreach hexagon.
They're kind of in the outreach. They're more just for the SOC, right? They're really there saying, hey, we found this issue. We think you could do this better, and this is where you messed up here, and this is why.
But just
This
for
is real time.
Yeah,
This is real time,
it's real time.
not like a separate lab where you do your pen test and all.
Depends on the mission, right? They come to me and say, this is what we want to do, and I'll go, okay. And then we'll get executive buy-off, and then I'll say, okay, let's do it, right?
So where does the web application piece come here?
For them, initial recon, most of the time.
The web application, do you capture any web application logs?
Yeah, that would go into the SIM. Yeah, so
But where do you capture all those things? Like
SIM. We have the SIM, CLS, central logging system. Those are our two main points of logging, right? So we take all the logs, so the web application logs, they would go into our SIM.
Are you talking about from an attacker's viewpoint or from a defender's viewpoint?
both attacker and defender.
But we don't get attacker logs. We only get the logs to detect what they're doing, right?
The point where I'm coming is developer, he will be, for example, if a user logs in, he would give a login thing. So if multiple times if the user logs in or tries to do brute force, so we'll get to know that there is some kind of threat happening. So those kind of logs, how do you analyze?
We don't analyze anything, right? Well, okay. What you're saying is like brute force logs or those kind of, any logs goes into the SIM and the CLS, right? And again, this is really important that you guys understand this, right? So
But I'm not getting the connect how that information is fed into SIM.
oh, syslog. So the syslog, we take syslog or we can pull. We can pull through FTP sometimes or at SFFTP or whatever. But we're pulling those logs into the SIM. Somehow those logs got to go to the SIM. So and how we do everything within the SIM, right, is we create rules and automation, right, to trigger. We don't want to have people doing, manually looking for brute forces, right? We want a rule that triggers for every single use case of the brute force, right? And to give you a simple example, back in the old days, it was really easy to detect brute force, right, on one machine, right? Hackers would go on and go a million times with a different password, right? And then it would go in and you'd have it's easy to create. You could do it on the server itself. But hackers got smart and they said, well, what if I distribute to multiple servers, right? And started hacking the cross-out. Don't do a million on one, do a million on a million servers, right? How do you detect that? So then you have to create a rule that detects that, right? Then they get even smarter, right? And they go, oh, let's change this up a little bit. We know you trigger after 3 failed logins, right, on multiple servers, right? So why don't we do, a million on 10 million servers? And I'm not only saying those big numbers but that's really where they're thinking, right? Because now you're getting failed login, and so they're always trying to adapt.
We're looking
and you're
for
always
holes in
trying.
the sponge.
Yeah. So and you need to adapt that same idea set, right? And that's part of the hunting process. Why did this get through? Why did that brute force get through, right? Why did this not get triggered by the SIM? Oh, it's because the attackers figured out they're not, if they do it slow and low, and that's actually something that we have happen a lot from China, right? Is the attackers have gotten to the point now where they do attacks that are so slow, right? It's almost impossible to detect, right? So they're going, username and password. No, failed. All right. And then
They
they'll
learned
wait.
that from Doom. The slow blade penetrates the shield.
Exactly. They'll wait for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, and then they'll go to another server and go, username and password. And they sit there and they will do that over and over and over for days and years at a time. And how do you detect that? How do you make a rule that's going to be monitoring for those type of login failures? It is possible, right?
It's possible.
Yeah, it is. Because you got to think like the attacker, right? So you got to know that they're not only doing that, they have to be doing something else, right? So you got to catch them doing. So the way to do it is you go, okay. So you have an attacker who's doing a slow and low brute login force, right? They also happen to get onto your web server from that same IP address, right? So if you see an activity, right, coming in from an IP address, right, that connected and got a firewall permit or access to the web application itself, a web log, and then seen at another location, a couple hours later, then trigger something and say, hey, you might want to watch this guy. Because you got to know how your users would interact with your web applications, right? Nobody's going to go and say, oh, I'm going to, get on the server, stop, and then wait 6 hours, and then go over somewhere else, right? So
So
you got to correlate the information and try to model what a real user would do versus what an attacker would do. That's what I'm trying to say.
The triggers may be made up of multiple elements.
Yes, exactly. Multiple. One of the ways that we did it was also with our IPS, right? So our IPS would trigger an alert, right? And then we would get a firewall permit, and then we get some kind of other failure, and that would trigger it immediately. Doesn't matter. It's like, let's not even take a chance. Let's go investigate it. And then if you have threat intelligence feeding into it, that also says, hey, we see this guy, we know it's this, you're close. It's like your conviction comes from threat intelligence, right? And I think that's it.
Thank you.